Hi, this is our video for the VReport for the Global Learning Project. I'm Jordan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Heather.
I'm going to be talking about my friend Trevor.
I'll be talking about my friend Logan.
I'll be talking about my roommate, Georgia.
All right, well, the first part of this, we're going to talk about motivation. One thing that I found interesting about my person was that Trevor, he came from a very close family unit. Like, it was just him, his brother, his twin brother, and his mom. And so, like, one of the things that motivated him for, like, not only for choosing what college, but like for what he wanted to do was based on what his brother was also going to do. So, like, his mom didn't want to send one kid to a small university and another to a big one. So because his brother went to Michigan, he decided he wanted to go to Michigan State.
Okay, so for my friend Logan, what I found really interesting for his motivation to come to Michigan State is he's from Lapeer, Michigan, so he has a big Michigan background family. So most of his family has gone to Michigan State, such as his brothers and sisters, mom and dad, and so forth and so on. So it's basically a family tradition to come to Michigan State. So that was his reason for coming.
Yeah, my roommate was the same way. Both her parents went to Michigan State, and so she decided to go there. Also, a lot of her friends, I went to Michigan State, she transferred here, so she really wanted to come here too, along with another really close friend of mine goes to LCC, so she lives up here. So she kind of decided to go because her parents went here, and then also because a lot of the people who she was close with back home wanted to come here too, so we all ended up being together, so that's kind of why she went to Michigan State.
Next part is the analysis of learning. And so one thing that's different between me and my roommate that I noticed is that early on in the semester we talked about like mindsets and learning. I've learned that I've kind of a fixed mindset. Like, I learned throughout high school that I was always one of the smart kids and I didn't really spend that much time studying or learning, while my roommate was kind of the opposite. He wasn't really that smart early on, but then he spent most of his time just studying and like just learning and just staying after class, and he ended the school year with being one of the top 10 in the class. And so I thought that was really interesting. But despite that, when it comes to his studying strategies, oftentimes he he often like pushes back and like doesn't do a lot of stuff until like maybe the last 2 days before. So I guess like a typical college student. But then when it's time to study, that's all he does, and like he drops everything, he ignores everything that I'm doing, and he just only pays attention to rereading his notes and studying, which is something I kind of don't do. I look at my notes every once in a while. I don't cram.
It's kind of the same way with my friend Logan. He basically gets down to studying, no distractions whatsoever. He doesn't let anything distract him. He actually seen it firsthand. He actually unplugs his television, game systems, everything. It's like everything that doesn't have to do with studying. Even if it's when it's out of the book, he'll even shut his laptop down, all electronics, phone, everything. So he's completely focused. Where I'm a pretty big procrastinator at times, so I try to take a couple of chapters out of his book and try to do the same. Well, it's kind of working for me now, so that's the difference between us two. I'm more like, more all over the place, easily distracted, while he's just like straightforward and won't let anything distract him while he's studying.
Yeah, my roommate is actually different. She studies a little bit every day for the class that she's in, which is a lot like what I do. That's what I learned my freshman year, is you study for like an hour a day every day for a class for like 2 weeks beforehand. When the exam comes, you don't even have to study the night before because you already know all the material. So that's definitely what she does, and she will go to class and she doesn't actually like type her notes during class. She writes them, so like she doesn't have her laptop as a distraction, and then when she gets home she types them, so it's like double learning. So she like rewrites the notes and then she types them up. So it's definitely kind of like studying just in that process alone. So that's what she does compared. She doesn't procrastinate, not nearly as much as I do. So
the last part of this, or the next part, is cultural experiences. My roommate, when he came up here, he was very taken aback because not only was he's lived all his life like just he hasn't really he's only traveled to Europe like once, and other than that he doesn't really travel or go on vacation. He just stayed in one place, and so he kind of referred to like his hometown as kind of a bubble. He doesn't really have that much experience with like other cultures, and so going to Michigan State was a big change for him and like a big learning experience because he's never really like he's never lived near people of other cultures or like have like really gotten or really learned of people of other cultures. But one thing he did, and as well as I, because we lived on the same floor last year, we became friends with someone from China named Li Han, who I discussed in my previous videos. And so that was really cool for him and I because we both learned about people from other cultures and such. The one thing that he was used to though is that because he has a twin brother that's his same age, he's shared a room his entire life, and so like he's still doing that to this day with me.
For my friend Logan, he's from Lapeer, Michigan. So it's basically from what I heard and what I've seen when I went back home with him to visit one day, was it's basically a very agricultural town, farm town, if you will, a lot of cornfields and whatnot. So it's a really small town, and that's basically what he's used to. So when he came up to Michigan State, he was really shocked by how many different cultures are up here, how many international students there are, and just basically all the different cultures, because he went to a predominantly white school, so he's not used to being around all these different type of cultures. Whereas I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I've been seeing this my whole life, been around several cultures my whole life, come across many different people my whole life, especially in Manhattan, where it's basically like a melting pot. You see so many different people, so many different cultures, so you're used to this. So when I came to Michigan State, it was pretty much like just like high school all over again, just way more people, obviously. So I went to a pretty diverse high school, so I'm used to seeing different cultures. I've been exposed to different cultures, so I know, like, I don't get culture shock when I see certain things because I've, been partaking in some of them throughout high school as well as studying some of them. So I was very comfortable coming up here with different cultures.
Yeah, my roommate and we went to the same high school, like I said before, and it was a very dominantly white high school. It wasn't diverse at all. It wasn't like we were against it or anything. We just never really came in contact with it when we were in high school. And so when we both came here, it wasn't so much of a shock. I mean, it was definitely way more interesting than to be dealing with the same people and never see anything different. And she's a communications major now, so one of the major things that she always does is she has a class right now where she's doing kind of the same thing we are, where she has a group of people who are foreign exchange students, and she meets with them and she talks to them about how different their culture is. And like, it's funny because she'll come home and tell me what they talk about, and it's not even anything different. They just get along on like all different types of levels, and she really likes it. So it's not like it's different, but it's something she really enjoys. And it's something that I enjoyed too, coming here, is getting to know like different cultures and people with different backgrounds, which is really nice. So
the final part of this video is about the implications of this project. The one thing that I really picked up from doing this global learning project was that it's one thing to observe a new culture and like just to see it happening in front of you, and like, but it's another to live it and another to communicate with people who are a part of something that's different from where you're from. Like I said, not only did I become friends with Li Han, who's from China, and his roommate, who's also from China, and like learn what it's like living there and learn about the movies and the games and the food that he eats, but it was also interesting last year learning about people on my floor that lived in like San Diego, or like someone from Mexico or like Puerto Rico, because like you hear about these kind of things, but you don't ever hear about personal experiences or are able to get a one-on-one experience with people from those areas. So I think that's one cool thing I learned throughout this project, and one thing that like I've gotten, I don't know, more used to, or like I've learned a lot throughout this experience about different cultures and about how it's like to live in a completely different place like at Michigan State.
Same. It was a very educational project to do. Like I said earlier, I'm used to being around different cultures. I've been, around different cultures basically my entire life. Did a lot of traveling throughout high school as well, so I'm used to doing like things like this without it being for a class and experiencing new cultures. But it's always good to, experience those cultures once again because maybe you'll pick up something that you didn't learn the first time, and it's a really fun experience. For example, I have a friend from China that I did go out with in one of my experiences, and we did celebrate. I believe it's the Moon Festival, and that was the first time I had the moon cake, I believe it's called, from the festival, and that was fun to try, and it was pretty tasty, I will say. It was a fun experience. Like I've been around the Chinese culture a lot, but I have yet to try that. So that's another thing. Like even though you try something once, it's always good to try it again. Maybe you'll learn something new the second time around.
Yeah, it definitely was like that for me too, because I had never even experienced really a completely different culture other than when I did this project, which was nice. I went out to a restaurant with one of my friends who was Arabic, and he took me to an Arabic restaurant. And it was all really good food, and it was really just like nice to hear like about what his culture is like and what they do that's like a little bit different from us. And when I got to take him on what I do with my normal culture, he was shocked by what we do, and like he enjoyed it too. So it was just like an enjoyable experience overall.
All right. Well, that's our VReport. I'm Jordan.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Heather.